Hi everybody, welcome back to Dave's Garage. I'm Dave. We're called Dave's Garage 249 because there's so darn many Dave's Garages out there. I should have come up with a different name. Anyways, just to recap, if you're new to the channel, been working on the 65 Belvedere 2. I bought the car about 3 months ago, so if you look back at some of my older videos, you'll see that we've kind of gone through and examined the car, did some repairs, made some changes, and so the theme of this car is going to be kind of a day two nostalgia stock, super stock, and street car. And so that the next logical step was this car did not have a tach, so I procured a Sun Tach 2 made in 1968 off of eBay, and we'll find out if it's going to work properly. And that led to pulling a lot of rewiring and sinful stuff that other people had done. So word about the wiring is that I tend to use 16 gauge on most everything. I do know a little bit about electrical, and this circuit needs to be able to handle somewhere around 12 and a half amps eventually, but the electric choke takes about 7.5 when it starts, and then it drops down to about 3/4 of an amp. And each gauge takes, any electrical gauge anyways, takes about a half amp. And let me see, well, dash lighting is not in this circuit because I tapped off of the circuit, dash lighting circuit, which was 16 gauge anyways, so I got a long ways to go before I overload that one. So I wanted a terminal strip so I could move things around and arrange things and load things the way I wanted. I wanted another fuse block, and I wanted to tap ignition hot off the ignition switch, which was 16 gauge, so that kind of limits how much current you can draw through there. If I need anything more, I'll probably just create another circuit, or create like buy another fuse panel and put it somewhere in the car and load that one up and just tap right off, straight off the battery. So word about ground is that on these older cars you start getting a lot of resistance from rusty panels and age and condensation and things. So this car does not found a direct ground from the engine to the body, but a lot of things are grounded to the body. So that'll be something that I'll be doing real soon, is maybe putting like something like a number 10 or 12 from the engine ground, because the battery grounds to the engine too. So run that to the body just to make sure that you got a extra amount of ground. And a little bit like looking at electricity is a little bit like looking at a pressure in a hydraulic system or a water hose. You know, you got pressure coming in a smaller diameter, and then it gets consumed. Some gets consumed by whatever device it's running, and then it has to return to ground. So I like a nice big drain to ground. So there's always a good free path back to ground. Seems to make things run better. So anyways, so let's move on to the video. So here's an example of wiring gone wrong. This is the ignition hot feed for the choke. I kind of redid this, and I didn't really give a lot of thought to it. And then after setting up ignition hot on the underside of the dash, I looked at this and said, well, why would you have that be powered off of a ballast resistor? The resistor's there for a reason, and I'm not a electrical engineer, but it alters the voltage or the current that can go through. So it's probably altered it to here too, or affects the ignition. So that's coming off, and that's going to get rerouted into the firewall. Here's what I've been doing underneath the dash. You can see over on the left I have a terminal block, and the instrument lighting is fed from the light switch over to there, so I can tag instrument lighting. So now all the new gauges and the original gauges will all be dimmable. And on that I have a common ground, and you can see I've kind of made a daisy chain ground for the gauges that'll go in, and I made daisy chain instrument lighting. And then I have an ignition hot there on the end, and I came over from the source, which is the ignition switch, and I've got a fuse there, and then I have 4 more possible fuse spots, so anything like fuel pump and fuel pump relay, all these things can be operated either off of ignition or direct hot. Makes it nice when we're adding things like if you ever wanted to put MSD or electric fans or anything. Everything's already laid in here now, so I can just plug in stuff. And I've yet to mount the gauge bracket, but it's going to go. I just use 3M tape to kind of mock it up where it's going to be, so I know where to put the wires, and I'm going to mechanically fasten it. See, the tape's getting wore out from messing around with it. There's how I access the ignition switch. Had to remove the glove box or the ashtray, and that was kind of tricky, but it does come out of there and it'll have to go back in. So now I know how that's done on these cars. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm waiting on gauges, and when they come in, I'll install it and show you what it looks like. See here's the plastic tube that goes into the dashboard for the oil pressure gauge. I'm going to pull that out of there, and instead I think I'm going to put a pass-through down here somewhere in the firewall, and then anything that I add in the engine compartment will pass through there, such as I'm going to have a vacuum gauge, so there will be a tube for that. Reroute the oil tube there. The wire for the trigger on the coil from the tach will go through there, and so will the wire for the electric choke, and then anything else that you want to add. So I'll just make it a little bit oversized with a nice grommet, and then if we ever want to take it to the track, we'll just pack it with some silicone or something to seal it off, so the techs would be happy. So that's kind of the plan there. All right, moment of truth. Let's see if this tach will work. Everything's wired back up. I moved the all the lines the way that I talked about. Let's see what happens. Choke is working a lot different too now. Makes sense. Pressure gauge is back where we want it.